This is Facebook Live and also here live. And so this is going to be a deep, obviously a very deep class today.
I can imagine.
I can imagine it's especially for us today and the people that are online. So whatever I want to talk about today,
it's just about us.
It's just about us today. So welcome to Facebook Live. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. I'm Earl Purdy, and I'm glad to have my mighty companions coming online. All right. Today we're going to be doing the Course in Miracles, the healing instant, the holy instant in the attraction of God, which is the same as saying the healing instant in the attraction of love. So we're going to talk about the attraction of love today. So there's one thing that we want to remember, and that's the guidelines for the Course in Miracles. Hello, mighty companions. I see you all coming home, shooting out the hearts and the love. And so if we remember the basic rules for hearing the Course in Miracles, it helps make the whole thing a lot easier. And that's this. Remember only this. You need not believe the ideas. You don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. I do not have to accept the ideas. I do not have to believe the ideas. We don't have to accept the ideas. We don't have to believe the ideas. We don't even have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas we may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. And some of the ideas might be real startling in the Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas might be real startling in the Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas may be real startling in the Course in Miracles. Did I say some of the ideas may be real startling in the Course in Miracles? And you're not asked to analyze the ideas at all. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that they are true. Using it, not analyzing it, will show you that the Course in Miracles is true. Using it, not analyzing it, will show you that the Course in Miracles is true. And it's really interesting to be teaching something that works, and you know it works. But the problem is, if you don't use it, you won't think it does. So a lot of people like to listen to the Course, but they don't actually like to use the ideas because they don't remember what they've heard. It's not unusual to forget what you hear in the Course in Miracles. The reason why we don't remember what we've heard from working with this for 4 decades is because it's hard to remember something that's the opposite of everything you've been taught. It really is. When you're hearing something that's not natural to the way that you've been taught to deal with things, it's real easy to just forget it, not even realize you heard it. And every single thing pretty much everything about the Course in Miracles is the opposite of what the world teaches. And since it's the opposite of what the world teaches, it works. That's almost like the prerequisite, right? So we're told our happiness is from everything outside of ourselves. And the Course says it's everything inside of us being projected out. We are taught that we're almost like the victims of everything, right? Everything is being done to us and then we're trying to deal with it. And the Course in Miracles is saying, no, actually you're responsible for what you see. And so when we hear it, we're responsible for what we see. The part of our mind that doesn't know the truth, the Course says, sometimes it'll make us feel like the Course is saying we're responsible for what everybody and everything is going through. Like if you hear that statement, I'm responsible for everything I see. then your wrong mind is going to say, oh, is it saying I'm responsible for what everybody else is going through? I'm responsible for everything I see. And it's really just saying you're responsible for how you see. I'm responsible for what I see because I'm responsible for how I see. Does that make more sense?
Yes.
So in that sense, I am responsible, but I'm responsible for how I see things.
Yes.
And then it said, then we're also taught I can't help but feel the way that I feel. We're almost like we're taught that we have no control over our feelings, right?
Yeah.
And then the Course is saying, no, you choose your feelings. So that's opposite to everything we've been taught. Because sometimes we'll have reactions to things, and it looks like we react before we can even help ourselves. And we don't know that all we're doing is reacting to the way we programmed ourselves to react. So we've done it so much that we do it so fast that we think it's beyond our control, right? And then the toughest thing that the Course says is that everything that seems to happen to us, we ask for and receive as we've asked. Now that's a biggie, you know, because if I could see things another way than how I'm seeing it, and it could make me feel more peace, and I don't choose to see it that way, then I am asking for whatever it is that I'm experiencing at that point, because I'm not doing what might be necessary to give me another way to deal with it. So today's in the Course, we're in chapter 15. Those of you on Facebook Live and in the room, we're on chapter 15, and we're in the holy instant, which is the loving instant, and it's on page 322, and it's called the holy instant and the attraction of God. And the Course is saying that whenever it says the attraction of God, that it's talking about, when it's talking about the attraction of God, it's talking about the attraction of love. So whenever you hear the word God, it's talking about love, the love that created us. And when it says ego, it's talking about the part of our mind that experiences contraction or fear. So love contracts. Love expands, fear contracts. Love expands. So we're talking about the holy instant, then what we're talking about the love instant. We're talking about the instant of love, the healing instant. And the attraction of God is the attraction of love. The Course says until you love yourself, you're not really attracted to love, you're attracted to fear and guilt. So a person that does not love themselves will not be attracted to a person that's loving. And a person that loves themselves, they're not attracted to people who are not. So if you don't love yourself, you'll find yourself in one relationship after another that it seems like you're experiencing some form of attack, anger, guilt, or separation. And if you're attracting those kind of relationships a lot, then you have unresolved issues.
Pretty much.
You got some stuff going inside of your own mind that needs to be changed. So when the Course, so the first sentence says, as the ego would limit your perception to your brothers to the body. So when it says ego, it's talking about the part of my mind that does think it's separate, the part of the mind that does believe in separation and fear. So there's a part of my mind that thinks I'm separate from you. There's a part of my mind that thinks I'm different from you. Do you have a part of your mind that thinks you're separate from the people in the room? And that thinks you're different from the people in the room? Everybody say
yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's okay. please don't start that much in the now. Please don't start that much in the now. Okay. All right. So the part of me that thinks that I'm separate. Are you hot? Are you comfortable? Are you back? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Now, everybody had different experiences of the temperature of the room.
Yes, indeed.
Right? So that's the way we are about everything.
Yes.
Okay? So that means all of us have different interpretations of everything that we see, even though it's the same thing. There is a temperature, right? And then all of us had, some of us hot, some of us cold, some of us comfortable. If we could just realize that's true about every single thing, we would go really fast in our spiritual development. That each and every one of us are having our own interpretations of experience, which means that each and every one of us lives in our own personal world, in a sense. Each one of us are walking around in the bubble of our own perception. And what we're looking at is everything that we're giving meaning to. And what we're reacting to is all the meaning that we give what we're looking at. That's why everybody can have a different reaction to the same thing. One person sees a car accident, they drive on. Another one stops and tries to help. Another one is freaked out. They're looking at the same accident, but the meaning they're giving it is different. That's happening in every area of your life. Okay? That's why some people like you and some people don't. They're giving you a meaning that upsets them about you, yeah. And somebody else will see you and they think it's the coolest person they ever seen in their life. Yeah. So again, what's real is beyond our perception. What's real is beyond the meanings that we're giving things. It's like when somebody's telling you about a situation that they're going through, especially a couple, for instance, it'll be your interpretation of what happened and their interpretation of what happened and what really happened. That's the way it is. I'm going to say it again. That's the way it is with everything. So the Course says the ego, the part of me that thinks I'm separate from you, it would limit my perception of you to your body. Because it looks like that's all you are to the part of me that thinks I'm separate from you. It looks like that's a body named Marjorie. That's a body named Ashley. So the part of me that believes that I'm separate, I limit my perception of you, first of all, physically to your body. Right? That's why people work on their body so much, so that when somebody looks at that body, they'll want them. The Course calls it the body is the bait. And like I've said many times, as you get older, you realize you got to go beyond your bait. Because your bait ain't what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? I need somebody that can look at my inner self. I need somebody that can look at my inner beauty. Absolutely. You know, I got out the shower this morning and passed by the mirror with, who is this? How you get in my bathroom? Or you just don't even look, you know. God, I remember those good old days. Somebody just looked at you and they wanted you because of the way you look. Just the way you look was enough to just make them be all over you, right? Yes. Yeah, it's a trip, boy. So the Course in Miracles says that you better enjoy it while you can. Those of y'all who still got it, you better get rid of your guilt and enjoy yourself. Because nothing photography is my hobby, and I have friends that I've known many years, and especially females, and I'll show them pictures that I took of them 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and they look at that picture and go, my God, I was gorgeous. Especially when they compare themselves to how they, and I said, but yeah, I knew you then. You was complaining about the way you were looking right then. Yeah. Yes. You didn't like the way you looked when you was 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Now you're looking at it saying, damn, I wasted some time. I could have got over all kind of ways. I know it's good. So that's all right. You're learning the Course in Miracles so that you'll forgive yourself. People think they learn the Course in Miracles so they can forgive somebody else. You know, no, you're going to be really forgiving yourself. For all the joy and the peace and the happiness and the beauty and the cool stuff that was right in your face and cool people and opportunities that you were so deep in your grievances and misperceptions of yourself that you did not see. That's why the Course in Miracles says a prayer is, the most powerful prayer you can have is the prayer, I pray that I be able to recognize what I already have. I pray every day. I just want to be able to recognize the resources, the love, the cool things that's already in my life that I can have right now that I'm not seeing. Because my fearful mind, my ego mind, was always making me focus on what I didn't have, what I was lacking in some way. Oh, better yet, what everybody else was lacking in some way. So the Course says now the Holy Spirit, which is your loving right mind, it says would release your vision and let you see the great rays shining from them so unlimited that they reach to God. So if I look at you through love, I will see love shining from you so unlimited that it reaches to all that is, which is the Creator. So if I'm looking at you through my ego and my fear and what I've learned through the world, I'm just looking at a bunch of bodies in front of me. If I look at you through vision, which is love and the truth, I see great rays shining from you. I see a light being inside, in front of me. So we know which camp we in.
Yes.
Do you see rays shining from me right now? Or do you see a black body in front of you right now? Come on, be real. Be real. You see some rays shining from me? Okay, cool. All right, I thought the Great Rays was a singing group.
And you're the lead singer.
Yeah, I'm the lead singer. So the chorus says, it is this shift to vision. What is the shift to vision? Seeing you as love as opposed to just seeing you as a body. And it says that's accomplished in the holy instant. That's accomplished in an innocent instant. That's accomplished in a loving instant. When I have an instant of love and an instant of joining with you, then I see the love that you are beyond your body. Then the chorus says, yet it's needful for you to learn just what this shift entails. If I really just want to see love in everybody, I need to learn what it takes to see people in an only in a loving way. And the Course in Miracles says, so you will become willing. What do I want to become willing to do? I want to become willing to see you and to see the love in you permanently. I want to see love and joy and peace and happiness and abundance everywhere I look. And I want that to be permanent. So this is what this section is about. Well, how do I make that vision permanent? Is that a worthwhile goal?
Yes.
All right. Once you have accepted it as the only perception that you want, what is it that I have to accept as the only perception that I want? I only want to perceive love. Only. I only want to perceive truth. Only. I want to only see in a peaceful, forgiving way. Only. I'm breaking it down. Then it is translated into knowledge by the part that God plays in the atonement, which is the undoing of fear, because undoing your fear and the Creator doing the Creator's part is the only part that's understandable. So the Course in Miracles says, when you perceive only love and you perceive in a loving way, then that's going to be changed into certainty, which is knowledge, which means at some point that will be all I know. When I want love to be permanent, when I only want to see you in a loving way, then there's a point that the Creator steps in and allows that to become knowledge that you never lose. That's just all you see. Okay. Then it says, therefore it is there, and therefore in this there will not be a delay. I love this. It says there won't be no delay when you're ready for it. So what is it that seems to be delaying my perception of seeing other people as loving? I ain't ready. I'm not ready yet. How do I know I'm not ready yet? Because I still have times that I want to call people SOBs. I still have a minute when I want to judge and criticize and condemn people and come down on them. That's the moment when I decide not to make the loving perception what? Permanent. Isn't that pretty? That's not rocket science, okay? If I'm not seeing you lovingly all the time, then the times I'm not must be the times I don't want to see you lovingly. And so that means I'm not ready. So that's what it said. Therefore, there won't be any delay when you're ready. When you are ready for it. God's ready now. Next sentence says, your Creator is ready right now. Love is ready right now to make your perception of love and your perception of joy and your perception of happiness, all the definitions of love, permanent. But I need to admit, I ain't ready. I'm experiencing, perceiving so much truth and so much love in my personal life right now that the part of me that thinks that I don't deserve it, called the ego, is losing its mind. It tries to throw every negative, fearful thought it can possibly throw at me right now. That voice inside of my head is so busy right now because I've been experiencing it, so much love and so much peace that I have to realize that I have to stay true to my desire to only see in a loving way. See, that just means I have to stay. I hear you, the part of Earl that wants to say the frightening stuff. I hear you, go ahead. I hear you, yes. Go ahead, do your thing, But I'm choosing to what? I'm choosing to still want to only see the truth. I want to only see the truth. I want to only see the truth. I just want to see you in a loving way. So I only have two ways I look at anything in the world according to this that I learned from the Course. I either see love or I see the call for it. That's all Earl sees. Everybody else can say they're seeing a lot of things going on in the world. I just see a big old call for help going on in our world right now. in everything that's happening in our world right now. I just hear a bunch of people going, help me, help me, help, help, help. And they're frantically trying to, in their own way, give themselves joy and peace and happiness that obviously isn't the correct way because there's too much conflict for it to be the correct way.
Yes.
Right? So the first paragraph, I'm going to repeat that one more time because the Course in Miracles says all you have to do is remember it. You don't have to necessarily understand it. All you have to do is remember it. Just remember it. Okay, here we go. As the fearful part of you would limit your perception of others to the body. So with the Holy Spirit, release your vision and let you see the great rays shining from them. So unlimited that the great rays reach to God. They reach to God. It is this shift to vision that is accomplished in the holy instant, the healing instant, the loving instant. Oh yeah. Yet it is needful for you to learn just what this shift entails. Do you know? It's needful for you to learn just what this shift entails. Woo! So you will become willing to make it permanent. Are you willing to make loving perceptions permanent? Are you willing? Once you have accepted the loving perception as the only perception that you want, the once that you have accepted the truth perception as the only perception that you want, then it will be translated. It will be translated into knowledge by the part that the Creator plays. Do you know that's what's going to happen? Because the part that God plays, the part that love plays, is the only part that love understands. Therefore, there will be no delay. When you are ready for it, there will be no delay. When you are ready for it, there will be no delay. God is ready now, but you are not. I say God is ready now, but you are not. I say love is ready now, but you are not. Love is ready now, but you are not. Okay. I have to funk it up some, y'all. I'm sorry. I have to hear this with some juice in it. Is that cool? You gotta put some juice in this thing. It's all up here. You know, I got an extra chakra, and that's my boogie chakra. I have to let that.
Thank God for that.
Thank God. Hallelujah. 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 It's okay. It's about to get dangerous. Oh, God, man, I got me a new computer stand that, lets you stand up and do this. I don't know why I didn't do that ages ago.
Very good.
Because in your mind, again, logically, you think it wouldn't be easier to stand up. But it is. It's better to stand up doing a computer than so. Again, the truth a lot of times is the opposite of what. The reason why I knew that it wasn't good to sit down because everything was starting to ache in my body. And I was like going, why am I, especially my hips and my thighs, and what's up, wait a minute, bro, I'm just sitting here. What's up with this? You know what I'm saying? But then, that was I believe that this is a dream, and I need to interpret it as that. Yeah. And the interpretation is I need to stand up for truth.
For truth.
I need to stand up for the truth because that's what I'm working on, right? Any questions about the first paragraph that we've heard? Any thoughts? It can be comments, realizations. What was the first paragraph telling me? That as long as I don't see correctly, I'm going to limit you to your body. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to admit that especially in the case of female forms, there has been times that I've focused my attention on the body. Don't tell nobody. That's just between us and all the people on the internet. That's it. Okay, nobody should know it. Because I know you all have never focused on anybody's body first. I can tell by you all's reaction. Like y'all were just, really? Okay. Then there's some bright love I want to see shining from you, and I want to see it permanently. I want to see that love permanently, and they said God will make it permanent when I get ready.
That's true.
And God's ready now, but I'm not. Okay. Anybody got any thoughts before I go on?
I love hearing that God's ready because God wouldn't withhold anything from me for an instant.
That's right. That's right. God only gives. God doesn't take. There's a line in the Course that love doesn't just gives. It's not trying to get. It just wants to give. They just want, you know, when you really love somebody, you really can't help it. You can't really control yourself when you really love somebody. You know, that's how you got into trouble. You couldn't control yourself. Yeah. Some people, have you ever felt so connected to somebody that when you looked at each other, you cried? I've had that experience. I've had tears come down my face from the love that I felt and the connection that I felt with people in my life. You know. That's the course. Basically, that's what we should be about each other. That it isn't just for a special person. When we're seeing each other correctly, all of us, we should have tears of joy.
Wow.
My daughter-in-law expresses so much love for me whenever we get together that she cries. That's almost like her common way of greeting me. She cries. And my granddaughter always came to say, "Will you cry, Mama?" And she said, "Are those happy tears?" Because my daughter-in-law would always say, "But these are happy tears." And so now she just walks. She's 7 now. She just walks. She says, "Oh, Granddaddy Earl is here. You having happy tears?" You know, isn't that cute? Yeah. Then she's 7. Then she can miss. Then she said, "Granddaddy, come to Granddaddy Earl." They said, "Granddaddy Earl, I just composed a song. Could I play it for you?" She's 7 years old, and she sits down at the piano and just I'm like, "That's my granddaughter. That's right. She's showing like she's definitely got some of my genes." That's why she's sitting down there doing that, you know. Oh, it's a trip having a lineage. Yeah. It truly is a trip. It's a trip. It's funny too because I see myself as an unlimited spiritual being, and then all these different roles I play in the world are just that, they're roles to me, and not what I am. What I am is a holy child of God. What I am is spirit, having a human experience, and part of that temporary learning experience is playing the role of father, uncle, brother, you know. But when you confuse yourself with the roles you play, woo, you're not going to enjoy yourself. You did not create your children. You were part of the means to allow them to come into this experience to have their own soul journey and their own spiritual lessons. And they chose you as a parent or a sister or brother or mother or father because if you would be your authentic self, that would be the self that would be most beneficial to them for their spiritual growth. If you are your authentic self, not what society says. I always tell people, I can be the best granddaddy in the world if I can be Earl. You know what I mean? You don't say I got to be the daddy you see on TV. I got to be the authentic person I am as your father. And see, most people they compare themselves to outs. The same thing with relationships. Everybody can have a beautiful relationship with somebody if they're being their authentic self and not what they think society is telling them in the script that society is putting on them about how they should do their relationship. You should be the author of your relationship. You should be the one determining the rules and agreements of your relationship between you and your partner, and nothing that you see on TV or what anybody else is telling you it should be like. That's why conscious people have all kinds of relationships. Open relationships, closed relationships, polyamorous, monogamous, none of the above. Because everybody's not alike. Just like we didn't all react to the temperatures alike, we don't all react to how we would like to experience a relationship alike either.
Amen, brother.
And how do you know when you're in one that's not authentic to you? You want to kill yourself. Okay. You go, "Oh my God, I got to see him again." So that's a hint that this might not be your soulmate. And who's your soulmate? Anybody in front of your face at the time. That's your soulmate.
That's true.
So there's no more important people on earth than you, because you're the people in front of my face right now. That's the truth. So if I'm going to have salvation, healing, love, truth, it's not going to come through the people that's not here. It's going to come through the people that's here. Duh. Y'all are here. So evidently, you're the one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to the next paragraph. Our task, what is our task? To continue as fast as possible. How? As fast as possible. Continue how? As fast as possible. What? The necessary process. What's the necessary process? The necessary process is looking straight at the interference and seeing it as it is. So the Course is saying that if you want to get to the point that you're only seeing love, you need to look as fast as you can at everything in you that's interfering with it. If you're broke, you want to see everything that's interfering with your abundance. If you're sick, you want to see what's interfering with your health. If you're lonely, you want to see what's interfering with you having meaningful relationships. So that sounds the opposite. The Course is saying, I want you to look at the interference. Don't avoid it. It says, look at the interference. Why? So that you can see it exactly as it is. I need to see the interference exactly as it is. I need to see the interference exactly as it is. So I want you to pretend that this is a mirror. So I want to see the interference exactly as it is.
You don't say, it's you.
I am so glad it's me. I am so glad that I'm the one that's interfering because I have some control over me. I have some control over how I see things. I have some control over me. I have some control over me. I used to believe it was controlling you and getting you to change and getting you to be different. And then when you were different, then I would be happy. I'm so happy that I am the interference because it also means I'm the release from the interference also. And what I've learned about loving myself more is the more I love myself, people who don't love themselves and people who couldn't love me are not attracted to me. So therefore, I don't have a lot of people in my life that I'm having any kind of a hard time with now that Earl Purdy loves himself more than he used to. I found everybody that would give me a hard time just faded away. I don't have a negative experience with my siblings. I don't have a negative experience of any type with my nephews and nieces. I don't have a negative experience with anybody in my life right now. I don't have a relationship that I'm working on other than my relationship with God. In my relationship, everybody else has left me alone. If they need drama, they're not going to be interested in me because I just don't tolerate drama anymore. And people who need drama and conflict, they're not attracted to you. Your vibration and your consciousness is too different, so they're not even attracted to you. And so you really find out beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you're unhappy, it's being caused from within because now you don't have anybody to blame for it the way you used to, which fooled you into thinking that it was something outside of you that was making you unhappy instead of something inside of you because you could point to all the people and situations and circumstances that was making you miserable. So it seemed logical that the other people needed to change in order for you to be happy because you could point to all the different things that looked like people were doing to you. But as you continue to grow on your spiritual path, you'll find that the external difficulties will start to fade away and you don't have anybody externally messing with you and you're still unhappy. Then you realize that it was just you hated and it was going on inside of you all the time and it had nothing to do with anybody else. So for some people, that's when they get extremely depressed or that's when you see the light. It's one or the other. When you realize it's you hate, either you're going to get really depressed about that or you're going to feel really happy about that. I used to wonder why people did not get excited in my classes when I said you create your reality. And that you are responsible for your own happiness. Well, if they've been miserable most of their life and they think they've been trying to make themselves happy and they haven't been successful at it, you telling them that it's up to them does not thrill them because they're looking for the person, place, or situation or circumstance that's going to make them happy. That job, that house, that car, that mate. And you just told them none of that's going to work and they haven't been successful at doing it for themselves, they just get depressed.
It's more guilt.
Yeah. And the truth is, they haven't been successful at making themselves happy because they did not create themselves. So therefore, they can't create their own happiness. It's what created them that also creates their happiness. And that's what most people don't know. The same God that created the cow created the grass that the cow eats in order to survive. It came together. So whatever created you also created everything that nourishes you. And you're trying to make it up like the cow trying to come up with what's going to make it happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can relate to the cow thinking the grass is going to do it. Especially in Colorado. Yeah, there's a lot of grass in Colorado.
It's smoking grass,
A
man.
lot of grass. Okay. The problem is we're not cows. So the Course says it's impossible to recognize, I love this, it is impossible to recognize as totally without gratification what you think you want. If I want it, I must think it's going to gratify me in some way. So the Course says it's impossible to totally It says it's impossible to recognize as totally without gratification what I think I want. What the heck does that mean? If I think I want it, I must think it's going to gratify me in some way. And so what the Course is saying is, no. What you think is going to gratify you doesn't gratify you and has never permanently gratified you. See, that's why I like to take it one sentence at a time. And both, and I love it says, the body is the symbol of the ego. So the body is the symbol of the belief that I'm separate. I think I'm separate. I have to have something I'm separate in. Hence the body. I believe I'm different from you. My body proves it. I believe I'm different from you. Then some people are so unconscious that they take it further than that. They think they're even more different from you because of the color of their body. And they think they're more different from you because of the gender of their body. So then so what are we doing? We just separating and then 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 separating. And so the Course in Miracles says the body is the symbol of the ego, as the ego is the symbol of separation. So the body is the symbol of separation. How do I know I still believe in separation? You all look separate from me. So I don't have to be in denial about that and say, oh, no, I see you as totally one with me. No, I still see bodies. So there still is a part of me that not only believes you're separate from me, I'm glad. Why? Because it looks like I can experience stuff that you don't experience. And it also looks like I don't have to go through what you go through. If you have a stomach ache, I don't have to feel it because I'm separate from you. I'm different from you. There's a big payoff with this separation thing for a part of me. I just got to worry about feeding me this evening. I don't have to. If you was one with me and you are me, then I'd have to be looking out for you as much as I look out for me. So it's a payoff in this separation thing now. But think for a second that there's not a part of you that absolutely doesn't want to join. One of the reasons why, when it's a small group, I'll move into the living room and people ask, why are you moving to the living room? I said, because if it's 10 people, they'll be scattered all over the room. And as a teacher, you appreciate it more when the energy is more together in front of you. So we'll come to a oneness class to get as far as we can away from each other when we walk in the room. There'll be a person over there, and then there'll be a person over there, and then everybody's going to feel the back of the room first. Nobody's going to come close, usually. See, we like to be separate, unless it's with that one
Person.
special
Lovely person. Into special as well.
So let's go a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Then the Course says, and both, which means both, the body and the ego, are nothing more but attempts to limit joining. The Course in Miracles calls communication joining minds. So me thinking that you are a body and I'm a body really limits us joining. Even sex, you're never joining with anybody. Or you could never disconnect. If you can disconnect, you wasn't really joined. But sex is symbolic of our desire to join. But it's not really joining.
No.
When you really join with somebody, you go beyond the body, you go through the body, you can connect at a level that is much more pleasurable than anything you do with the physical body when it's actually real joining. Now, if it's not real joining, it's going to look like the body thing was the best thing you could have done. Because you don't know nothing better. But when you have a real spiritual connection based on love, you can feel that anytime, any place, with anybody. See, I can join with all of you, which I have been doing ever since I've been up here, and you couldn't stop me. Nah, 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 nah. See, anything real you can have now. Anything that's not real, you got to plan and seduce and get. If it's not real, I got to talk you into it. If it is real, I can have it right now. I love it when you get to that cricket level. You know, it's like a sound in the room. You got cricket, 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 cricket.
You know, you can have all the love right now.
That's right. We can have it right now.
Yeah.
We can love each other right now. We can love each other right now. We can't all be special to each other right now. We can all love each other right now, but we can't all be special with each other right now. Specialness isn't love. Because you're special to me doesn't mean I love you. Actually, because you're special to me, I got more scripts for you. That's what it really means. I mean, being special to you means that there's going to be some expectations you have. Yeah, there's some grievances if I don't do it. Right?
And there's pressure in it too.
Oh, a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. What if I say or do something wrong and then I'm not as special as I was before? And heaven forbid, suppose we go to a party and you meet somebody more special than me. Especially when I treat you the way I do. Why you think parties be so jealous when they go out in public? Because you know the way you treat them in private, you better be scared when you go out in public. You know, you never tell them you love them, never tell them you value them, hug them, kiss them, tell them how much they mean to you, ignore them, and then y'all go out. Of course you watching. Because you vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you jealous. Because suppose he come to their class and then he love himself and they won't want to put up with my stuff. Oh God. Oh, let's go on with this little easy class. Yeah, right? I can't believe you.
I think this is a hardcore vision.
Hey, this is hardcore. This is hardcore. Because it works. And after doing this for almost 4 decades, it's like, come on. I've had a chance to work with literally thousands of people. And there are people who actually transform themselves and allow themselves to have a really happy experience. And the Course in Miracles is not complicated. It's only as complicated as you need it to be to understand it. So that's why I'm going line by line. For communication, the Course in Miracles says, and both are nothing more than attempts to limit communication and therefore do what? Make communication or joining impossible. So that's interesting. Really, I'm trying to use my body to make joining with you impossible instead of possible. By putting the focus on your body, I don't really recognize it's not our bodies that's going to join, it's our minds that are going to join. And then once you join minds and hearts, then the person might just throw the body in.
Just a minute.
Yeah, you know, just, okay.
Okay.
You can have a body too. But only my body. I'm the only body you can have. To the day you die. And that's perfectly okay if both of you all agree on it.
Yep.
But a person who doesn't love himself, I guarantee you're not going to get a person that feels the same way. They're going to get a person who doesn't want to just focus on an agreement that they only share bodies with each other. And if you have made that request of a person, please be a good lover. Do a little work. Take a workshop. Do something. Do something. Because, you know, I'm going to be your only lover. You know.
It's over.
Because if there's somebody you love, you don't even have to touch each other. You can just look at each other and they go, Have you ever had a relationship like that? They can just look at you and you just feel it all the way through you. That's right, because it's the meaning you give it anyway. Right? It's the meaning I'm giving you. The Course in Miracles says you're the giver and receiver of everything you feel. So you're giving yourself the pleasure that you have with anybody. It's not coming from them. It's coming from you. You're giving yourself permission to feel that with them or toward them. But it's you're the one that's turning you on. If you had to be, if she had to be turned on, if I touched her shoulder, then anybody could touch her shoulder at that place and she would get turned on. If it was generated from her body, anyone could touch that spot and she would go, oh. But I could touch her shoulder and she'd go, wow, that feels comforting. And somebody else touch her shoulder and she'd be wanting to call the police depending on who it was. So it wouldn't be turned on. So it really had nothing to do with her body. It had to do with the meaning that she gave the person that was touching her. And she didn't even have to be touched by me to feel that way, since it was coming from her. Now that's what I call communicating. It's joining because we're one mind. And then the Course in Miracles says, for communication, I love this, communication must be unlimited in order to have meaning. If I'm going to really have a meaningful communication with you, then I need to be unafraid and I'm not holding back and I feel safe to communicate everything to you. So my personal definition from the Course of love is what? Unlimited communication without fear. If I can talk to you and not be afraid to communicate with you, I know I love you. If I'm scared and I'm thinking I'm afraid to say anything to you because of how I think you may react, that is fear. That is not love. So if you're with somebody and they're the last one to know what you're thinking, do not fool yourself into saying you're in love with that person. You're in specialness with that person and you're in fear with that person, but you're not expressing love with that person. It might be special to you. That's why you're scared to talk. Because you don't want to lose it. But that's not love. There is no fear in love. There is no guilt in love. There is no anger in love. So that's my test. If I'm hanging out with you and I'm thinking, is it okay for me to say this? Then I got some blocks about you I need to get past. Right? And then the sentence says, yet, he says, deprived of meaning, communication won't satisfy you completely. So if you don't have satisfactory communication, then the communication that you're having is not communication that really means anything. Wow. So if I'm having a meaningful communication with you, what does that mean? It means I'm going to feel satisfied. I'm going to walk away from you feeling satisfied. Like you take my brother Nabola here. When we're hanging out together, I don't think before I say anything to Nabola. I don't think, well, is he going to reject what I'm saying? Is he going to fix what I'm saying? Is he going to correct what I'm saying? Is he going to judge it? Do I have to feel guilty about anything? Right? Then when I communicate with him, for instance, it's very satisfying. Because I'm not afraid to talk to him about anything. And that was instant from the time we met. And I've had other relationships like that. And you've had relationships like that. Where we called it, back in the day, we clicked. Yeah. Yeah. And in a relationship, I'm always looking for the click. You know, boy, I could have said something really.
Change the last letter.
Okay.
Oh my God. You're innocent.
All right. So this paragraph, all right, and then it says what? The unlimited communication without fear remains the only means by which you can establish real relationships. So what is it saying? You can't have a real relationship until you have communication that means something. And the communication won't mean anything unless it's unlimited. And it won't be unlimited until we start seeing each other's love and not bodies and spirit. So, in a healing instant, what happens? You let the great rays of love replace the body in your awareness. I'm more aware of how much I love you than your body. That's how I can tell that I'm really practicing the holy instant with you. And also, I have a recognition of relationships without limits. When I let the love in you replace the focus on your body, that's when I am actually recognizing that you and I have a relationship that's unlimited. Because if I love you, it doesn't matter the changes that your body go through. It doesn't matter if your body changed from a young body to an old body. If I love you, I'm just seeing the love and I'm not really focused primarily on how your body looks. Because the physical body is like ice cream. It melts. That's why you have to lick it before it melts.
Oh yeah.
I was channeling. I don't know where that came from. I was channeling. Thank God I attract people who have have a sense of humor. People who are uptight and prudish, they avoid me like the plague. I'm the last teacher that they want. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm too irreverent for them. They don't know that that's a sign of trusting God and trusting the truth. Is that you do just have a good time and you share the truth, right? So it remains the only means by which you establish real relationships, and real relationships are relationships that have no limits. And so how can you have a relationship that has no limits? It's a relationship that's been established by love. It's a relationship that's been established by God. And that's what I was saying. How I know I love my brother, I'm not afraid to communicate with him. Where have I been the most afraid to communicate? The people who were most special to me. To be honest, it's the person that I was in love with, or the person I thought was most special, that actually I was the most cautious about what I said and how I said it. So actually that's the person I fear the most. But I'm really saying I'm in love with them. No, I'm in specialness with them. That's what I mean with you. I mean, and some of you all are in special relationships right now. You know you are.
Yes.
You know that there's certain things that you will not say to that person that you see as your special person. You know. Crickets, man. Okay, so now we know what we're working on. We're working on letting go of the blocks to the awareness of the love within us. Okay, so acknowledge yourself for hearing this much, please. I'm going to do a little quick review here in a minute. Oh my goodness. So those of you online, thank you so much for listening. And what we're going to do is the financial expression of appreciation to give us an opportunity to share. So that, and thank you for sharing with me. Believe it or not, all I do is teach A Course in Miracles, and so I appreciate your sharing with me. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, just go to my website, Earl Purdy, PURDY.com, earlpurdy.com. I'm also, I do sessions called clarity sessions, so I can show you how to apply this to any situation in your life that's causing you any kind of pain or conflict right now, and any block that you want to get past. I've also been a sole purpose astrologer and numerologist for almost 4 decades. And so those of you who would also be interested in having me do a session with you using your astrological chart and your numerological chart as well as the course and everything else, I warn you though, you won't have no excuses after you have a session with me. So if you need excuses, don't come to me, because I'm going to give you a way out of everything that you're using to cause yourself any kind of pain, and also show you what your talents are, what you came as a soul to learn, your easiest path through life, what your pattern is, how to get past it. And for those who are open to the idea of the eternal validity of the soul, I'll also even bring in what you might have had and done in terms of past lives coming into this one. So it's very mystical, very metaphysical, very psychological. It's all of it combined. So I call it a clarity session, because that's what people have when they finish having a session with me. If you're interested in that, go to my website, earlpurdy.com. It explains it in detail, and you can even self-book right there on the website. And I'll have a wonderful session with you. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I do Hardcore Course in Miracles on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page. Earl Purdy page. If you are not a member of Facebook, you can still watch the live broadcast. You just go to www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. Earl Purdy Live. So basically it's facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. And you can watch it whether you have a Facebook account or not. Okay? All right. So before Tuesday night I do some other material called The Way of Mastery at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And then Sundays we do 1 p.m. And I do it here in front of a live audience, as well as doing it on Facebook. Thank you all for coming, because there's really no point in doing the live class if no one comes. Or I can just do those two at home like I do the other two. So thank you for seeing value in coming together, because it's a different energy also that's really helpful.
Thank you.
You thank you. Thank you. So, before I wrap this up and hit a couple of the main points, would anybody care to make a comment or share any realization or ask any question about anything that I said today?
God is ready now.
God is ready now. Are you?
No.
I love your honesty. I love your honesty.
No.
But I would beg to differ. I think you're moving toward readiness, or you wouldn't be sitting up in that chair. Yeah.
Good.
That's right. That's right. Anybody?
So were you saying that you have to lift the body prior to the melting, or does that still happen after the melting?
I'm praying it happens after the melting. I'm counting on. I'm on the want it to happen after melting phase. I'm in the fourth quarter. I'm in the fourth quarter. I tell you. Yeah. Yes, darling.
You know, I just like that it says that the body and the ego are attempts to limit communication, because what that's telling me is that it's an attempt, it's something that's not gonna work. And so there are
Yes.
times where it feels like it's working and I get trapped in those places, but those things are just attempts. Like at the end of the day, we are unlimited communication, and those things are just attempts to break that up.
Thank you. That's what makes me patient, is that I know the ego cannot win. The part of me that would want me to think I'm not loving, loved, and lovable, the Course says it cannot win. So once you get that you are guaranteed to succeed, you become more patient with the process. But the fear comes when you're not sure how it's going to turn out. But if you know how it's going to turn out, you know, like if you're on top of a house and there's a flood, water all around you, and you're certain that they're going to rescue you, then you're much more patient than you'd be if you was on top of the house and nobody knew it. Right? So we have to realize we are innocent, we're sinless, we're guiltless, we're loved unconditionally, we have help that will always be available to us, and we're going to come to the realization of who and what we truly are. That's guaranteed. Then we'll be willing to deal with the process.
And patient with each other.
And patient with each other. Exactly.
I just want to say I'm grateful for the distinction or definition you made with regards to communication. It's a lot different than the world's view of what communication is.
Which is
how
words.
the world communicates. Yeah.
Yeah, to think of communication as joining minds and joining purpose, you know, that makes a lot more sense to me. You know, we are communicating because we all joined on the same purpose sitting here. That's some real communication. You know, and then the body, the Course says, for a little while our vision is so dim, we do have to show our love through bodies. So that's cool. There's nothing wrong with expressing your love through your body either. So thank God, right? Like Marjorie, spoken like a true Libra. Okay, so
How do you know when the holy love is also saying no thank you, like setting a boundary,
Well,
versus that's my ego not wanting to love that body?
to me it would be the test of always, you know, am I feeling more peace?
With A, or more peace with
Or
B,
more, or even more peace
C?
with the boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I give you a boundary and I feel peaceful with that boundary, what that's going to do is free me to love you. Because the love has nothing to do with the body anyway. So if I'm not afraid and I'm honoring my boundary, then I'm going to feel safe. And when I feel safe, that is the love that's going to come out of me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Give it the contraction expansion test. If it's making you feel contracted, then this is fear. And if you're feeling expansive, this is more loving. And so you have to give yourself as many agreements and boundaries that you need in order for you to feel safe enough to love, or to let the love come through. So that's why honoring your boundaries is so important. That's not a lack of love if I tell you what works for me. That's love if I'm telling you what works for me and what does. Now, it's not love if I'm condemning you and attacking you and judging you. You know, like I'll tell everybody in my life, I don't have any rules for them other than that they're free to choose to express themselves however they feel like they need to express themselves. And that's the way I deal with relationships. But if I have a challenge with it, then that's my responsibility to make whatever decisions I need to make for my own peace. And in some cases, it might be me choosing out of that form of relationship with you. And you know what I mean? It's like, I can have the loving relationship with you, but maybe I don't need to be your boyfriend or your partner or your business partner. You see what I'm saying? We now need to change the form. So if you really need to do something that different from what I give myself peace about, then I need to honor that, because that's your spiritual path. That's why you feel so compelled to do it. Something about that is your part of your path. And I'm not going to condemn you for following your path. I just might not be there with you on that part of that path. Does that make sense to everybody? So whatever the agreements are, and think about agreements in relationships, they can always be renegotiated. You know, you can get to the point you go, you know what, that used to bother me, but now that wouldn't bother me now. I would feel peace about that. And then you work from there. But eventually you're going to get to the point that you are so rooted in your connection with Source, your connection with God, that you wouldn't try to limit anybody in any way, and nothing that anybody would do would frighten you. That's coming. Because once you realize it's all you won't want to limit you anyway. It's only because we think we're separate that we're coming up with all the limits anyway. But the ones we are joined in love, we only need so many laws in the world because we're not loving each other.
Yes.
You need more and more rules the less you love each other.
Exactly.
But if I love you, I'm not going to constantly want to hurt you or abuse you or attack you or manipulate. I don't need rules. I don't need any rules when I love you. I'm not going to want to hurt you if I love you. I'm not going to want to deceive you if I love you. The more love is present, the less rules you need. The less love is present, thank God you got rules. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Take a breath, and we're going to wrap this up. We're going to hear it one more time. So what is our task? It's to continue to look as fast as possible. It's to continue as fast as possible the necessary process of looking straight at the interference, and see the interference exactly as it is. Don't let your fear, don't let your perception of the body block real joining and real communication. Let love release your vision. 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 I let love release my 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 vision. Love release my vision. Love release my vision. Love release my, let's claim it. Love release my vision. Love release my vision. Love release my vision. Love release my vision. Right now. I am ready now. I am ready now. I am ready now. I am ready now. Tell God I am ready now. I am ready now. I am ready now. I am ready now. Here's another one. I am juicy and sweet. 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 I am ready now. I am ready now. I am ready now. I am ready now. Say this. I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. Say it good. I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled to miracles. I am entitled I'm entitled to miracles. Let miracles replace all grievances. 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 I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself right now. Woo! Yeah, yes. Yeah, yes. Mighty companions online, thank you for sharing. Thank you for showing up. I always look at all your comments. Those of you who showed up in the body, I really appreciate you. And may your ice cream be lit. I will see you next time. Amen. Hugs are available. Yes.